You are watching Xirtus.
Know that the smell you get when you open up a McDonald's bag is scientifically engineered to make you want to go and get more McDonald's. Like
Oh
they
yeah.
even got the damn smell like just ironed out just perfectly so that
Kurt, save us. What are you thinking? Come on, I know that this is traumatizing you.
What, McDillhole?
Does McDonald's not make you feel like you're looking at a homicide? Like when I think about McDonald's, I think about like dead people on the floor in like a humid apartment building that's just been sitting there for 3 days. Not just me. Just me.
It's I worked there. It wasn't a pleasant experience. You know what I learned? You know what I learned? I learned last week that it costs a franchisee, if you want to like start a McDonald's and make your McMoney, it costs like $1.2 million to start it up. You would think well, that's the price of being a tool. But no, if you own
you
a
got to
McDonald's,
sell a lot of cocaine before you can own a franchise.
exactly. But no, it sounds so ridiculous. Part of it is ridiculous, but we have this culture of like, I worked at McDonald's and I worked at Domino's. I worked at both of those chains, and you would think,
His name is Robert Paulson.
Being a store owner, it would come with a lot of quote unquote responsibility. But when I worked at McDonald's, I never met the store owner. Oftentimes, what our system is geared to do is people will buy these stores and buy these franchises and set their people up, and you might not ever hear from them ever again. It's like a shadow mafia almost. When I worked at Domino's, it was slightly different. Like the owner wasn't there. He has a store in Pennsylvania and he lives in St. Louis, which I think that's just sinful. I'm tired of society like covering up like that.
St. Louis is evil. It's true. You should never live in St. Louis.
the whole city of St. Louis is evil.
What do you mean by that? What's wrong with him living in St. Louis? And I'm kidding, of course. What's wrong with him living in St. Louis and then having a store in another state?
If you run a business, you should like actually run the business. I don't know, like what there's like a gap in people's brains that
I've got that gap. I've got like fluid right there. I can feel it. But what is the? He owns a business in America. He doesn't run it. He owns it, right? He owns it. Tell me why is that so evil? Explain it.
It's
or wrong. He doesn't even be evil. Just why is that? What is the logical fallacy of owning a business you don't run? Explain that to me.
Why it's like why is ripping somebody wrong?
What? Okay,
how do I have to answer that question?
Whoa,
that's a really different, to me, a little different.
Hold on. I think
that's not
I have
offensive.
a better analogy. It's like fathering children you don't raise.
Yeah, if you're a billionaire, you have some kids to hire someone to raise them.
But he's paying. No, but he is raising it because he's paying them. You own the business. You're paying for the thing. You're paying the taxes. You're dealing with this whole thing. It's just that they're running the business.
But having a connection to your business, like a presence there, is important, I think, is what.
So, like, let's say, okay, so like in California, you got like a Pizza My Heart in Santa Cruz, right? And then they have a Pizza My Heart in San Jose. They can't be at both locations at the same time, but people want Pizza My Heart in Santa Cruz and in San Jose. So what do? Do we defy the laws of space-time? Or do we own two businesses and have our friends run one of them?
That's a lot closer than St. Louis and central Pennsylvania. Okay.
But what about Los Angeles, which is 300 miles away? Los Angeles now wants it. San Francisco wants it. It's an hour and a half north. What do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well, like that's within like reasonable distance. That's like I have no problem like with the idea of chain stores in general. Like, I guess if I have a big problem with the owner, I do have a big problem with our system. Like, well, people no, Domino's is a publicly traded company, and so it's not just the owner that's getting a lot of free money for doing nothing. It's also shareholders, and so like I think in a totally just system, it would be a requirement for workers to get a certain percentage of shares. That would be a very just society, and I don't like, but it's not the world we live in
Thank God
currently.
life isn't fair. You know, that'd
Yeah,
be crazy.
thank
Well,
God life isn't fair. But,
because
that's
like,
me.
well, how would that affect reality though? Like, if you think about it for a second, like, why would I give a damn to own a business if I have to give it to you? And what's the value in incentivizing you to work that much harder? If you work, are you going to work that much
Okay.
harder because you own that part of the business? Are you going to sustain that part of the business if you own more
Well,
of it? Like,
Why wouldn't you?
because I
yeah.
don't know, Zimbabwe. I don't know. Like, what I'm saying, like, I'm just thinking about every example, not just the idea of it. You know,
Yeah,
I'm thinking about
I think-
reality.
Isn't Bucky's ran that way? If I'm not mistaken, don't people who work at Bucky's have like
How's
a?
Bucky's doing? Is Bucky's doing good? Which
I know that
I
there's
like their
some
logo.
like. I know there's some like iconic like gas station that is run as a co-op. I'm not. It may or may not be Bucky's. It may be some other one.
If Bucky's is a
Yeah.
co-op, that would be really.
Here, you
interesting.
always trigger hardcore capitalists in the comments section. It's really funny.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great?
It's the best. It's pure dopamine. No,
Yeah.
that's not the only reason. I don't purposely try to trigger people. I'm saying, like, we live in a society. Like someone said, well, what about the idea of consent? The idea of consent is diluted. So it's like, what if you can half rape somebody? Well, that does exist. You know, that does actually.
Why is this the metaphor? Can you zigzag me here? Like,
I'm
explain-
sorry. I'm sorry. YouTube is totally wussified.
Yeah, next
I'm
time use like a R word, but not hard R. I don't know. Just try.
Nah,
to...
that's fine. I give you a pass for you. Speak
I'm-
your soul. Speak your truth, man.
Yeah.
Please, like, I wasn't
Here,
trying to be offensive, and I know
No,
we
I
live in
believe
a
No,
you.
no, just-
No. You may. I think it could be apropos. You know, like taken in a certain context for sure. You know, it's like
It's like the zigzag. It's like the zigzag joke where like the Lord rapes your peasant wife, and he says, "Peasant husband, hold my testicles so that they don't get dusty in the mud." Right?
Yeah.
And then the wife is like, "You just stood there and held his testicles." And he laughs. He's like, "Yeah, but I'm a dirty peasant. My hands were covered in mud. His testicles are filthy now." Right? That's kind of the...
There is a portion of the system that's involuntary, and like when you build up a society where lying to people is the standard, some people will inevitably believe the lies and then get shortchanged in those lies. One of the lies is that your currency means something. That's that whole lie depends on a lot of people believing it, and so. Like I do try to encourage people, like, think about what your life would look like without money, because you are an animal. That's a scientific fact. You are an animal. You know, you need air, water, food, shelter, maybe some love thrown in there. That's what you need for your survival. So what would your life look like without it? If you think that life, your entire survival just comes from money, you are buying into the lie, and you are manipulated by, this like actually spiritual force. It's one of those things that's just inarguable, but like,
well that's like
people try
saying
to
like
pretend like it is arguable.
well that's like breaking it down intellectually to saying, I mean, when it comes to like stuff you learn, it's like there's really nothing worth reading then other than the sacred texts. It's like
I'm saying I'm springboarding. Sorry.
I'm just saying to make your ideal society, you'd have to destroy everything first, so that we would have to like start over and not give a shit about like, I don't know what, like material possessions, like stuff, like, I don't know, I guess like lavish homes, cars. Do we deny all that to kind of eliminate the need for money? Because I'm telling you right now, if we just relied on the barter system, that would be kind of tough to like sustain. Like, let's say you're a dentist, right? Or you needed a dentist and you were a peanut farmer. Like, what are you going to go to a dentist? It's like, all right, how many peanuts is it worth it? Like, do I have to give you for you to like do some dental work on me? Like, like do I have to give you like 1 million peanuts or something? Like,
I hate also the
we
idea
better
that...
tell this to the ant colony.
Before you springboard though, because I want you to, I'm just saying I hate that it's being taught as a hypothetical, because what Chris is saying is like literally happening right now. Capitalism is collapsing. America is not going to have a new razor go dull every 6 months. We're not going to have annual releases of products. They're not going to be making yearly cars pretty soon. This is the end, right? This is the end of that kind of consumer reality. And look how happy We all are, right? But like, there's a problem with
we're
it
so
too,
happy.
right? You know,
We're happy as a society. Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, now that we've sufficiently dove in, if that's a word, gotten into the lie of currency, that's when currency starts to be manipulated.